going on, people? It's Mr. Do Daily back again with the Monday night show, Dialing with Des, on the DoreOnTour YouTube channel. What we're looking to do is have the very final say on the weekend, have a little bit of fun, get stuck into some of the topics that all Forest fans have got on the mind right now, and of course try to add some substance and some reasoning why we think what's going to happen is going to happen, or we should play, or they should be signed. All we're trying to do here is offer a different, but a balanced opinion as well. Looking at all the pros and cons of what happened at the weekend, of course, we tend to mull over the game. A decent point or a poor performance? Which way do you look at it? I actually see any point now as a really, really good one. Anything on the board is really important to me. And just chipping away at that 40 points, you might have seen in the title, it's important just to get them points on the board. And if we don't need 40 points, every point's even more important, isn't it? They become more and more vital. That said, the performance at Bournemouth wasn't too bad. Unfortunately, due to trains, I missed the first 20 or so minutes. I heard Forest played really well. They were on top of the game before Yatesy had one ruled out for offside. That seemed to knock the stuffing out of us, didn't it? So after that, it took them a little bit of time to settle again, but I thought second half when Danilo come on, I'm not one for blowing too much smoke up new signings and trying to sort of get over the top, but I thought it was a difference. I thought that boy was class. Didn't do too much to suggest that. Lots of people suggesting that Scarpa was the match changer. For me, it was Danilo sitting in that role. His link up with Morgan Gibbs-White especially was absolutely fantastic. Looking for each other at any opportunity. And of course, it sure saw a midfield reshuffle. Yatesy himself going off, not feeling very well. Incidentally, this evening, I'm feeling absolutely shocking. Just woke up, but climbing off my deathbed almost and trying to put out a show just to do what we do on a Monday night and get to the crux of everything that matters to us as Forest fans, because that's all it's about, isn't it? Having great conversation around the Reds. If you'd like to get involved, I'd love you to drop your comments. I'll try and read as many of those as I can. Try and get as many people on as I can as well. It's your show. Whatever's on your mind. If you agree with me on what I've said already, if you disagree with me, like I said, that's absolutely fine. All we're trying to do is just offer a little bit of reasoning, substance. That's my approach, pragmatism. So I'll be looking to do that wherever I can and just leave you with what I think if you want to get involved. Of course, show me some love. I am feeling shocking. I'm going to play on it. Smash that like button. I'd really, really appreciate that. Was scared not to come on in case Dore sacked me and for ringing in sick, but I'm here, fighting through and doing whatever I can. So again, I just can't not talk about Forest. And one of the reasons I'm trying to battle through a little bit of illness, a bit like Ryan Yates, is I want to be ready for the Man U game on Wednesday. And of course, that's going to be a big talking point over the next week or so, isn't it? A League Cup semi-final. How exciting is that? We can turn off our attention to the league. We can stop stressing too much about league points and hopefully see this as a bit of fun. Hopefully most fans see it that way. Of course, we'd love to progress, we'd love to progress there. I was going to say a little bit further in the competition, but a little bit further means a trip to Wembley. And we all want that after the last year, don't we? We all want a day out at the big stadium after we'd not been there for so long. We like London buses, we'd take it, and we'd definitely make the most of that. So, bit of fun in the League Cup. I hope people don't get too carried away if it doesn't exactly go to plan. But of course, we've got plenty to go for. So they're the three things that have been really on my mind. That Bournemouth game, Danilo's initial performance without changing the world, without being absolutely amazing. I just thought what he did was so tidy, clever, and he's going to have such an impact on the season. And then, of course, that big two-legged game against Man United. If you want to come on, I'd love to speak to you. Like I say, there's a couple of guys waiting. And like I say, all you have to do is hit that link. I'm sure Mr. Dore's posted it somewhere, posted it on Facebook, posted it there. Just click that. You'll come into backstage and then I'll get you on as quickly as I can to offer whatever's on your mind. Just a reminder to smash that like button. I will milk it. I'm not feeling very well. Chapo says, hey up Reds and Do Daily Dares. Think Forest should leave. Going for Navas at 36 and Leon forward. Go for Croatian keeper. Looks good at 10 million. Of course, that's a massive issue right now, isn't it? Whilst we were missing Henderson for the next 2 games, we knew all about that. And it gives him a bit of time to recover as well, doesn't it? We've probably got to at least look at the goalkeeper situation. I'm not massively anti Wayne Hennessy. You know, I don't think he's done too bad. He made that mistake at Old Trafford. I'm not making excuses for him. The conditions were tricky, but like Chapo said there's potentially a goalkeeper on the line. And then Sonny D's making a comment. Rescued a point from a performance that was far from our best from a team we usually struggle against away. Can't say it went terrible. 1 point is more than none, and I can't say we deserve the 3 points. I think a draw was about the fair result, wasn't it? It was frustrating to watch, don't get me wrong. You know, I thought one or two individual performances could have been a little better, a little bit decision making when they'd not got that goal, you know, it was frustrating. But again, we'd have lost that game a few weeks ago. We'd have got beat in that kind of fixture, and we've come out of it with a point on the board, and everybody can move on to the next one. Leeds, it looks like a winnable game again. You never know what you're going to get with them, of course, but getting a result down there, you know, after some of the farcical situations we've experienced against them in the last couple of years, can only be a good thing deep down. When we look at it with a level head and reflect on it properly, you know, it's really, really important. So there's plenty of people checking in all the time. Of course, there is lots of football content out there. Fulham and Tottenham's on at the moment. Do keep me up to date with the score. I know Tottenham have just scored and made it 1-0. So anybody who's got a comment about that, anybody who's got a comment about anything I said or wants to ask me and the guys a question, you know, that would be absolutely brilliant. One more comment. Space says we should definitely get another keeper as we don't have a strong replacement for Henderson. And that's a great point. So without going on too much, I'm going to get the first guest in. JD, good evening, mate. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm doing well. How are you doing? I know you're a little under the weather.
I'm good. I recognise that accent. You're obviously in somewhere slightly different than a very, very cold UK. That's
yeah. Yeah, I'm in Tampa Bay, Florida, so kind of central Florida, about 2 hours outside of Orlando.
And what's the temperatures there?
It's cool today, which means probably 60 Fahrenheit and Celsius. That's going to be between 10 and 15. I don't know what it is, honestly.
It's minus something here, so and obviously I'm feeling it as I mentioned there. So great to have you on for the first time. It's always new people are always welcome to the show, and it's great to sort of catch up with people's thoughts, of course, across the States as well. Dor gets lots of viewers from over there. What's been on your mind with Forest? What is it you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, well, I wanted to share that I had the privilege of being able to watch this match with all the other fans who came out to the Premier League mornings event that NBC held in Orlando. So it wasn't, you know, normally I'm watching a Forest match alone on my couch, and you know, on Saturday I was able to kind of stand around with I think there was between 20 and 30 of us there watching on the big screen, and then we went to a bar after with some of the club people, and there were maybe 30 or 40 people there. So I finally got to watch a match with atmosphere that I wasn't personally creating. Normally it's just me yelling.
Absolutely awesome, and we've seen the pictures over here, you know, on the social media. Yeah, it looks absolutely brilliant. So glad you got to see it like that.
Yeah, it was great, and it was great because so many of the fans here are not American. You know, they're English or they're from the UK generally, and so to experience it with people who lived it their whole lives, you know, I'm just adopted into the family, and I'm more than happy to be here, and I love being a part of it, and what I mean, the club has done since I've been a fan, I didn't even expect at all. You know, we were solidly middle of the championship when I started following. So, you know, I love.
Before we get to the crux of what's happening, before we get into the crux of it, what is it that brought you to Forest? Why are you a Forest fan?
I wish I had like a magical, wonderful story, but I just watch a lot of football, and something about the club and especially the supporters. I'm at my local in Tampa Bay. I am the loud and proud, and something about watching Forest matches, especially at home, I just felt those are my people. And so I watched a ton of championship football. I kind of wanted to be a hipster. I was like, well, if I'm going to start watching England or I'm going to start watching European anything, I don't want it to be a Big Six. I don't want it to be a Champions League finalist every year. It's like I didn't want to be one of those guys. So I was watching a lot of the championship and Forest and the fans and the noise. Even Wynn not doing amazing just fully resonated with me. And then as I started getting interested and following some accounts and learning more about the club, I mean, obviously I learned about the history and the people, but people also just were super welcoming. And, as you know, it's a family, and the joy that we have seeing each other walking through the event on Saturday and walking past 50 Liverpools and 50 Chelseas, and then seeing the one Forest, and that's a big bear hug. We run across the courtyard and, how are you? How you doing? Where are you from? And that's just like the family aspect that I love. So
absolutely, you sound like a bit of a thrill seeker, because Forest is the biggest roller coaster you'll ever get on. The massive highs and the massive lows seem to come quickly after each other. So glad to have you on board, of course. Glad that you decided. Glad that you got to meet them guys. It's always great to see stuff like that. And I know, like I said before, there's lots of guys in the US and from Canada and the US who come on this show. So great to have you here as well. What is it that's sort of on your mind about the game, the season, what the League Cup game?
I think this past game on Saturday, proves to me what it's just more proof for what I've believed about Steve Cooper and his ability to manage a game during the game. I think that's something that with previous managers, especially under like Sabri, we had a game plan going in the beginning, and if it didn't work in the beginning, I was never confident that we were going to turn it around. I mean, a couple times we made it happen, but maybe individual performances made a difference there. But under Steve Cooper, like, we had the perfect storm for just a typical Forest loss, I think, on Saturday, especially during the first half, having a goal called back. I mean, we played really well up into the goal. Having the goal called back, we kind of hung our heads a little bit. I feel like the individual performances took a little bit of a dip. And then I don't think we were getting destroyed tactically, but we definitely weren't. We were giving him a lot of looks. And after that first half, only allowing the one, I think we did the right things with the squad that we have, with the injuries, to get the midfield strengthened. I'm obviously wearing the now Brazil special 2006 away. We strengthened our midfield with those subs. They were linking really well, and we were able to start building out of the midfield instead of out of the back line. And also, we controlled from the deep midfield, and they didn't really have a look in the second half. And I think, regardless of who we have, I mean, of course, we'd love to have world-class, 5-star players all off of our bench, but that's just not what we've built so far. Even with the injuries we have, we put guys out there and put them in the positions to come back in and get the goal and get the draw. So, we're not sitting top of the league, but we're going to earn a point like this. And it was the perfect storm, like I said, for a dumb loss away, with injuries, with players playing badly. And we still got something out of it. And that's like what I believe about Steve Cooper's Forest right now is that we do get a point out of this game. And we do, if we don't make the mistake we made leading to their goal, which is a great goal, by the way. I mean, I'm not sure how many teams stop when you're linking like that. But if we don't allow a goal like that, that's a game we win when maybe we shouldn't have. So it gives me a lot of confidence, because then as the players start coming back that are maybe more skilled on the ball or have more consistent performances, then we have the opportunity to at least stay where we are in the table, maybe climb a few more spots. I'm not going to be so optimistic that European football is for us at the end of this year, but I think we're building a really strong foundation. And so looking into Wednesday, I feel like we know where we were wrong. I think the players who had weaker individual performances are going to have a talking to, or at least have, they know, but, have a talking to tactically, have an understanding of maybe what they were doing wrong. And United took a dip a little bit recently. They had a really disheartening loss on the weekend. So maybe we can show up and kind of surprise with a really strong beginning, and then we'll have to see where it goes from there. But, if we fight back for a draw away, never count us out at home, because we're definitely going to be a lot stronger.
And there was a point there from Rebel City Red, decent point for me. Bournemouth have some better players than we give them credit for. Kiefer Moore missed a sitter and far from convincing performance from the Reds. That is the case, and I do think Kiefer Moore is a very good player. Do you know, I even sort of intimated that possibly someone Forest could have looked at. Along with Wood, I'm not writing Wood off yet. Some fans have questioned how he played. But I just think I think you made the point there about the midfield and that balance. And I just think all of a sudden we're getting lots of options. You know, I've made points about certain players, and sometimes I think they could do a little bit more. But now you're going to have everybody on top of the game. For me, I touched on that thing about Danilo right at the start. It was the way he rolled his shoulder, you know, without even touching the ball. And all of a sudden, he beat a man, and nobody touched the football. And then he's playing a pass into Gibbs White. He's playing a pass off to Scarpa, looking for Johnson. And I found that so positive. And at times, my frustration with the midfield, as everybody who watches this will know, I try and be balanced with it. But my frustration is not passing forward enough. And now it seems like even in games when we're not doing very well, we've got that opportunity just to pick it up. There is a comment here which I thought was interesting as well. I said at the weekend I thought we struggled with a smaller pitch. It all got a bit congested. It's 10 metres smaller than width and length. And I kind of thought that. I thought if these players had a bit more opportunity to spread out, you know, sometimes a small pitch, having played football, is a bit of a leveller. You know, it's a bit easier to defend. At times it can be compact, and that's what you want to be when you get in sort of players coming at you. And I thought that played a figure, but I think when these players get on the big pitch, you know, get on the City ground, which is not the biggest, but again, some of these bigger pitches, I'm not sure what sort of lineup's going to play. And of course, new signings might not be able to play against Man United, but it'd be good now the team's full of confidence to take it into that game, you know, and really sort of, we've lost, I made the point on my own Twitter over the weekend, we've lost 2 in 11 competitive football matches. And you know, we played some really good teams in all of that. Of course, we got beat by the ones we probably expect to get beat by, but we're not getting beat by the other teams now because it just feels like it's all starting to come together, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And to touch back to kind of the resilience and just the changes in the midfield in general, not only were we being progressive with our passes out of the midfield and how things were building, but to me, like a stark difference was the second or third ball. You know, we go in on an attack, it gets deflected out, it gets cleared, and it seemed like for the last 30 minutes of the game, Scarpa or Danilo were both there for that ball, for that second, third, you know, bouncing out of the box, the clearance, and then immediately giving us another option to go in through Gibbs White or up through Brennan, like on the right. So I think those really came more. The pressure came from those a lot more than when it would just be cleared and okay, you know, go back to Worrell, go back to Hennessy, build out the back again. It's like, no, we were getting it at the you know, at midfield and just sending it forward again, not giving them the chance to, okay, you know, breathe and move around. And I think that pressure, while not directly leading to the goal, like overall just made them a little bit more shaky, a little bit more anticipating, okay, they have the ball again, we're going to move forward again. And I think that change is really positive. And that's also something that we can learn from, the other players can learn from. I mean, it doesn't have to be those players that were on the pitch that can do that. And so, you know, we can look at that, you know, maybe they'll review the tapes, or maybe, you know, it'll just be a conversation.
I
got a call on my phone. But yeah, we can be progressive, and that can make the difference in the game, you know?
Okay, mate. Well, it's been great to have you on, opening the show. Very knowledgeable from the States. We've all got this impression that none of you know anything about soccer. So you really showed us that that's a myth. And it's great to have you on board as a Forest fan. Hopefully you feel like you want to come on and join us. You know, at any time, come on, give us a message, give Dora a message, give me a message, and keep supporting us from all the way over there. I'm sure you're pleased we're just in the Premier League and there's so much coverage these days.
Yeah, and absolutely. And thanks for, I mean, to you guys and as well to everybody, just being so welcoming, and just, you guys love the club and I'm loving the club, and that's what we all love to do together. So yeah, it's been really great, and I look forward to definitely being in touch.
Just a quick prediction. Try and keep it brief. Get the next guest on. Game on Wednesday. How do you see it going?
If we come out strong, and City Ground is in full voice, I see 1-0 for us. But that's blindly ignorant optimism from an American. So I'll let you have that.
I don't think you're on your own there. I think there's some of us who've been watching it for a very, very long time who are blindly stupid at times and think that we can do a bit more than we can. But like I said at the start, it's a chance, isn't it, to have a go, to have some fun. And you never know. What is really important on Wednesday is to make sure we've got something to go back and play for. You know, the last thing we need is to be 2-3-0 down. You know, if we can take a draw, even a 1-0 defeat, you know, I don't want that. I'm not saying that I'd be happy with that. I just think we've got to be in the game at least when we go there. Yeah. Otherwise, it become a bit of a damp squid. But once again, JD, really appreciate you coming on. Give us a follow on all the usual channels, you know, and I'll look you up as well. And keep coming on when you can.
Have a good one.
Cheers. That was JD. He was checking in from, was it Miami? A bit warmer there than it is here. I'm struggling in the cold today, so I'm definitely jealous, as 1 or 2 guys are in the comments. I've been reading those out as we went. He mentioned there about he thought Forest, like myself, would just sort of, we'd have lost that game in recent weeks, wouldn't we? We got something out of it, and that's really important. When you don't play particularly well, I mean, another comment I put out there as a throwaway thing on my social media was, we'll probably play better than that and lose at some point, you know, and on the other hand, we'll probably play worse and win. So again, we're just getting the points we need to, and lots of people in those comments are optimistic that we can get the points target that we're looking for. Justin says, thanks, JD. Thanks for the comments, Justin. Just a reminder, if you're just checking in, people are coming in all the time. There's lots going off around the world of YouTube and the Premier League. Do drop us a like, you know, do drop some comments, get us talking. I'd really, really appreciate that. And we'll try and post them to the guys coming in. If you want to come on the show, please dial in now. That's the point of the show, to get your points and see what you're thinking about Forest. So getting the next guest in from a bit closer to home. Lots of people know who this is. Evening, Amanda. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm ill. Well, I'm really. I've got a duvet over me and trying to get myself fit for Man United. Oh, I need that. So first time on. Of course, we speak a lot around football and we catch up at the away games. Seems to be every week. Yep. And I saw you at Blackpool, didn't I, when we was drinking that one away.
Yes.
But what is it?
Yeah, let's not talk about that one, eh?
No, that was the blip, was it? That was one of those two. What I mentioned before. What is it you want to talk about?
I don't know. Ben told me to come on.
Oh,
you know what he's like.
Is he railroading people into coming on? So what was your thoughts of the game on Saturday? Did you enjoy the match?
I didn't go, unfortunately. I couldn't get tickets. I didn't really see much. Couldn't really get a great. Well, I was watching from afar, shall we say, but it weren't great. To be honest, a point away from home is always great, isn't it? You know, it's win at home and draw away always picks up points. So we'll, if we can keep doing that, then we've got a chance of staying mid-table, I think.
I think so. Are you looking forward to a trip to Man United?
Yeah, I think so. I think, to be fair, I think at home we can put out a good performance. It's just that away game, isn't it? That second leg that will be a bit harder.
I think they've got us kind of like whip it up into a special occasion, haven't they? You know, when we played in the FA Cup last year, and it was Leicester and Arsenal and Liverpool, we basically made it a bit of a cauldron and a bit of fortress, and we've done that as well with our own form.
Yeah.
We've not been beat since Fulham at home, when we was all pulling our hair out and thinking it was only going one way. So there's lots to sort of feed off and lots of sort of big games and days to look forward to, isn't there?
Yeah, that's right. No, it's all exciting. That massive roller coaster of a ride that's Nottingham Forest.
And are we gonna get mid-table? Where do you think we're gonna finish?
I think we'll do mid-table. I think it's possible. No, I say just we've got to be the 12th man, haven't we? And keep supporting them, whatever Cooper decides he wants to do. We've just got to keep supporting them and being very loud, be that fortress at home.
I think that's really important, isn't it? Because I've got myself into one or two conversations, we'll put it politely, of how what I think about players and signings and whatever, and people get a bit worked up by it and go a little bit over the top. But the reality is, deep down, well, not just deep down, I support everything Cooper does. And I'll give an example. I won't sit on the fence. I wouldn't necessarily have signed Chris Wood. It would have been the name that stuck out for me. I'd have liked to have seen Danny Ings. I mentioned this before. But Cooper keeps doing what Cooper does, doesn't he? And he keeps making sure we get out of these sticky positions. When we played Man U last time, it seemed like we was in a bit of a tough place. We come back after the break for the World Cup, and we got beat quite comfortably in the end. It was quite comfortable, despite the fact we could have pulled a goal back and that would have changed things. But it almost seemed like it was going the wrong way again. And then we've just changed completely and become this different sort of entity. And I mentioned a few times, it's not easy. It's never easy. Bournemouth or last week in the home games against Leicester, we still have to battle. We still have to rely on a bit of luck and a bit of other players not doing what they're supposed to. I'm thinking of the Harvey Barnes chances. But you can only sort of keep digging in, and when you get the opportunity, take it and do what you're doing. And that's exactly what Forest are doing. I thought on Saturday, I turned around to Dore and Malcolm and Dave, and I said on 71 minutes, I said, if we score a goal here, these aren't very good. And again, it was just a bit of it was more not optimism, it was more thinking that Forest are better than them, they're just not playing very well. And a few weeks ago, we would have just been, oh God, it's the end of the world. We're never going to score and get anything from it.
That's when you keep away from Twitter.
We all know about it. But I think one of the main reasons Dore would have invited you on, of course, you've got that caption there, defibs for grassroots football. You do some amazing work in providing defibrillators for local football teams, continuously fundraising. It's something that I've worked on before as well, in terms of putting a few defibs around the city ground and Notts County and in the area where we live. But you just sort of relentless with this now, aren't you? Do you want to tell me what you're up to and where you're at?
So today I delivered number 32 into the grassroots community in Nottingham. Still got one left actually that's sitting looking at me that needs to go out, which I'm in the process of organising with the coach, which is actually Samuel's club, the Cavaliers. Samuel passed away last year, and his dad got in touch with me and asked if I could donate a defib to his brother's clubs. So I'm in the process of getting that out to them, hopefully this week. Unfortunately, the day they wanted to do it was Wednesday, but obviously that clashes with plans that associate with our second home. So it's a case of just keep going. We've got a waiting list again now. So, we're just in the process of sorting out fundraising, how we can get around to doing a bit more, maybe putting some plans into place to do some events. Hopefully we've got an idea that we'd like to kind of get together that maybe will happen next year. But again, everything's like that is all in just paperwork at the minute, just writing down ideas and trying to get them into motion. As you know yourself with fundraising, it's not always easy, is it?
No, it's most definitely not. And what I will say is that's what sort of jumped at me as you were talking. The delivering, the defib sat on the table, the thing, the paperwork you have to do to get them registered. So there's a lot of hard work going by Amanda. 32 defibs now in the community, thanks to a fundraising for after a young lad unfortunately lost his life locally here in Nottingham. So if you can support in any way, shape or form, monetary or by sort of getting in touch and talking to Amanda, I'm sure Dore's going to post a link on this video, and I'm sure he's going to post it in the comments. So please get behind her. I know she's always open to a conversation, and always open to the support. So let's get even more, if we can, around the community, and hopefully ensuring that no other young footballers and anybody in that, for that matter, in the area loses their life too.
Yes, we keep trying.
And that's all we can do sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Such a good thing you're doing, and this is such a great way of highlighting it to other Forest fans. People might see Amanda about or myself doing different things, and all we're trying to do is make a little bit of a difference and help out wherever we can. So well done for all the good work. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
And don't leave it so long next time, and don't wait to tell you to come on.
Yeah, you know what he's like. He's always cornering me somewhere to get my score prediction. Usually I get right, so he normally ignores me now.
Probably know more than the rest of us, so absolutely. But no, thanks for coming on, Amanda. Really appreciate
Thank you.
it.
All right.
That was Amanda, first time on again. Somebody we know particularly well. We travel to away games, all part of the network that we surround ourselves with on match days. She's always supporting Dore's channel, and like I say, she's always supporting these defibs for grassroots, putting 32 in the community. That's a massive effort, isn't it? And like she said there, I know what goes into that kind of thing. So thanks for doing that, and make sure you join us again soon. Just some of the comments since the last guest. Ricky says we need to attack United at home and press all game. With our atmosphere, it will make them uncomfortable. Absolutely, I think that's something we definitely got to do. Been watching Fulham. I've watched Fulham in the first half, and they just pressed the life out of Tottenham and found themselves behind, because again, it's not easy, is it? So we've got to work really, really hard, and who knows, even by sort of working them into the ground, you never know if you're going to get picked off. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to see how it pans out. There's something. I'm going to say it, lots of people might disagree with me, but there's something different about Man U, isn't there? When it's Arsenal and Man City and Liverpool, it's a big game, don't get me wrong. But when it's Manchester United, it feels like a really big game. I'm not a Man United fan, before anybody wants to crucify me, but absolutely looking forward to it. Don't forget, keep your comments coming. Please drop a like on this episode. Again, people tuning in all the time. Got a couple of new guests to speak to, or a couple of returning guests to speak to. Just these comments. Claire said, nice to see Amanda on. It absolutely was. Paul informs me that Danny Ings is already injured. Perhaps that's why we didn't sign him then. In Cooper we trust. Chapo, Mr. Lampard is down the job centre tomorrow. He was doing a good job. Absolutely, wasn't it? About as good a job as he did at Derby in the end. James says, Bournemouth took 4 points off our season. Did the catches on 2 bad days? Yes, and no. Of course, we've still got to compete in these fixtures. But when we played Bournemouth, we was at a different point, weren't we? Especially in the home game. We couldn't keep hold of a lead. It was all a bit frayed, a bit frantic. There was a change of formation like that, and we stiffened up. But you're not going to, even if a team's better than you, that's not how football works, is it? Or not as good as you. You're not necessarily going to win it. If we all know the result of one Forest match, we'd all be millionaires, because we're all going to stick everything we've got in it. But it doesn't work out like that sometimes, is it? And I think Bournemouth was, in many ways, a reality check. A great way to sort of take something from the game, but just remind us not to get a little bit carried away. Again, I posted that comment about the wins at the competitive wins. We've only lost 2 out of 11. That's so important, isn't it? Because there was a point earlier in the season where we probably only got points out of 2 out of 11. Don't quote me on that, but you know what I mean. Another comment before we get the next guest in. I like Danny Ings, however, his injury history is a real problem. And again, we've all spoke about players. I've been keen on 1 or 2 we had before who have got injury issues, and that's probably why we've not gone back in for them. Dore says Amanda link will be in the description to talk about the defibs. Well done, Dore. Make sure you get that posted up. Of course, I've posted some of the things I want to talk about. If there's anything you want to talk about, more signings maybe. Do you think Forest still need to strengthen? Listening to some of the guys talk last night, I was hearing that Scarpa changed the game. I thought he played well. He played an unfamiliar position. And while 1 or 2 players who perhaps, at times I feel could have been better or could be improved upon. That just highlights that fact, doesn't it? That Scarpa played out of position, and everybody's raving about, can he play midfield now? Can he be that link? So again, what's your thoughts on that? I think he's a natural sort of number 10, but of course we've got the main man, MGW, who's pulling the strings and absolutely tearing it up right now. What's your thoughts on him and the way things are going there? Mark says, good evening. Good evening, Mark. Glad to have you on. Don't forget to hit that like button, and if you do want to come on, please give us a shout. Getting the next guest in. Quinn, good evening.
Hey.
Are you all right, mate?
Yes, I am. How are you?
I'm really good. Where were you calling from? I know another accent there.
Yeah, I'm calling from Iowa in the U.S.
Wow. So it's the U.S. invasion tonight on Dialing with Des. Thanks for joining us. Really, really appreciate you coming on. It's always lovely to speak to new people. Tell us your Forest story then. What is it that got you into Forest? It's always nice to hear when new people come on.
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't really watched much of the Prem until like this year, and I spun a wheel, to be honest, to see just eliminated teams, and Forest was the last one. So
that's a great way to decide who you're going to support and put all your time and effort in. Hopefully, they keep rewarding you with your time, because it can be frustrating. It can be difficult watching Forest. You've just joined us at the real sort of pinnacle moment of what's happening. Are you enjoying it? Is it worth the wait? Is it worth the watch?
oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I just watching U.S. sports compared to the fans over there. It's awesome.
I believe the soccer in the US, they've got a real sort of hardcore support now, haven't they? They're trying to sort of be a bit like the English. Is that the case?
I'm not really sure. I don't watch much U.S. soccer, but
Okie dokie. So what are your thoughts on Forest at the moment? How is it going? Just a quick question there. Who do you support in the NFL, Quinn?
I support the Packers.
Packers. Who do you support, Justin? Are you on the same page? But yeah, what's exciting you about the Premier League and Forest, and you're looking forward to the big game on Wednesday?
I think it's awesome how they're in 13th right now. Hopefully they can keep it up. I'm not sure because I mean they've got plenty of games to play still. So I'm just hoping they can stay up this year and see what happens next year then after that.
I think personally watching it, if they stop up with the additions they're making in the January window, they seem to be first teamers coming in. That's what some of us who watch it regularly have been clamouring for. We built that squad for the Premier League. Some of them worked, some of them haven't. That's just the nature of it, I guess. It's the nature of football and sport. But I think with the additions of Danilo, hopefully Wood can get a goal or two and perhaps one or two more before the end, who can make a real mark on the first team. Because then games like Bournemouth, where we did struggle a little bit, become fewer and far between. Your performance level is up, and we noticed that in the second half against Bournemouth. I thought the performance level was decent. We looked like a good side who knocked the ball around well. Danilo picking the pace up by almost dropping the pace. Dropped to shoulder, and he beat a man without even touching the football. So those little things have been what I've been crying out for as a Forest fan. Just to move that ball forward a little bit quicker, find that bit of confidence. Whilst that's come and we've improved massively, it's not always been there. It's not always been the case. And you can see one or two players still adjusting, taking time, and around better players, a team becomes better, doesn't it? And the individual parts to it become better as well. So I'm hoping that kind of happens going forward
as well.
So have you got a score prediction for the Man U game on Wednesday?
No, I do not. I'm just hoping that it's a good result, but I do not have a score prediction.
Where will you be watching the game and who with?
Well, I mean, it depends on what time, because what time is the game at? I mean, I usually only pay attention to most of Premier League matches. And
the game's at about, I think your time, it'll be about 2:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, so I'll probably be like getting out of schoolish, and I probably have basketball. So I don't know if I'll be able to watch it, but I'll probably look at the highlights after or something.
Well, definitely do. And if you want to get in touch with us and follow Dore on Twitter and myself, give us a shout and we'll look up, try and get you on again in the future when you've seen a bit more Premier League football.
Yeah, I've got one question. What do you think about the injuries on the players? Like, do you have I try and look and see when they're going to be back, but I can't really find much about Awani and players like that.
It's a really interesting question you ask, because Mr. Cooper likes to keep his cards close to his chest. He doesn't like to give too much away to the opposition, and you tend to find that nothing gets said for a player, and then all of a sudden, like on Saturday, Bolly is back in the team and Lingard is back on the bench. It almost seems to me, and I'm probably talking absolute rubbish, if he's talking about them, they're nowhere near fit. If he's not talking about them and almost suggesting that they're a long way off, it almost feels like they're on the way back. But again, I think he uses it as a bit of a tactical plan before going into games. He don't want to give his teams away. Of course, people will look at the strengths and weaknesses of certain players, and that's kind of well known in Forest circles over here, that he keeps his cards close to his chest. So it's really hard when you see in those players on the apps, the score apps and things like that, all of a sudden I get asked to do a predicted team every week for something I do work for, and I can't get it because I never know who's injured or not. But again, it's just a bit of guesswork. So whilst he's keeping us guessing, I'm quite happy with that if he's keeping the opposition guessing, and perhaps bringing a surprise or two. Because at the end of the day, football, like most sports at the top level, it's fine margins. It's really sort of fine levels of getting an advantage wherever you can. So I think that's the way he does it. That's why you don't see too much news, especially being where you are, about what's happening. Just quickly before you sign out, Justin, when he asks who do you support, he says boo. He's Senators NHL. Space says Quinn, keep the faith in Cooper, we trust. And then Mark says my friend will be good. 3-1 I reckon, and we can win this. So thanks for tuning in once again. Really appreciate you coming on. It's always a pleasure to have new people. Don't leave it long before you come on again.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
Cheers, Quinn. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was Quinn, another guy from across the pond. It seems to, like I said there, with what happened at the weekend, all the social media that the club put out around the supporters over there, we've got plenty of them, haven't we? That was really good to see. And of course, there's people who've followed us in the past who've become quite well known. I think of the likes of Big Wares, etc., who just jumped on this bandwagon and absolutely love it. And that's what it's about, isn't it? The more people that support Forest, let's not be silly about it. Wherever they are, we want as many people supporting Forest as we can. So really appreciate him coming in. And Justin said thanks, Quinn, for coming on. Rebel City, Morgan gives White as a special talent. Wolves fans thought they pulled our pants down with the transfer, but he's soon going to be worth what we paid. Absolutely. I've been his biggest fan since the very first day. People who watch this channel will know how desperate I was to sign him. I'd seen so much of him at Sheffield United and really sort of, when you see a good footballer, if you watch football a lot, you see a good player who can sort of impact play. One of my frustrations with one or two players at the moment is how much they don't impact the play. And I can give reasons for that, but it's just with someone like Gibbs White and even Johnson, impactful players who make a difference. Scarpa, players who are all of a sudden, Danilo, players playing off the front foot, looking forward all the time. And I think the more that happens, the braver we get, the more confident we get, we're going to climb up the Premier League table. And I think there might be a few more surprises along the way also. Just a reminder to like this episode. I'm not feeling very well. I'm milking on feeling ill, so please smash a like. I'd really, really appreciate that, even if it's just for me to make me feel better. Just kidding. No, please drop a like, and if you've got anything further to add, 45 minutes in, we've still got guests waiting to come on, so there'll still be time for you if you want to. I was gonna cut it short because of not being well, but when I get carried away talking about Forest, like most of us, I can't help myself. Chapo says there, lots of Forest following in the US. And Sonny says, reckon the Wolves fans are saying he's crap and are just utterly jealous. We are getting more from him than ever. I was actually going to bring Mark in, but he keeps dipping in and out ever so slightly. So the next guest is going to be a familiar face to lots of Forest fans. Good evening, Eve. All right?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah.
Are you enjoying the show?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Okay. Are you excited for the Man U game on Wednesday?
Yeah, I'm really excited.
What is it you're looking forward to most?
I'm just looking forward to watching us in the semi-final, and I'm on the TV. I'm just looking forward to everything, really. All the games that's coming up as well.
Well, I know you live away, so where will you be watching it, and what's the next game you're coming to?
I'll be watching it in my bedroom on my TV, and the next game I'm coming to is the game against Manchester City.
Oh, that's a big one to look forward to, isn't it? I think that's going to be exciting and scary at the same time, isn't it? How good they are. But this is why we're in the Premier League. These are the ones that we've got to look forward to, isn't it? Did you see much of did you see many of the highlights from the weekend?
Yeah, I was watching the match on my TV, and I did get to watch most of it, even though I kept losing the match a bit. I did get to watch most of it, and yeah, I thought in the first half I thought we were really good in the first half. Well, until like until the goal was disallowed, and then I thought in the second half we started to get better again when Scarpa came on, and
we just had that little tricky patch, didn't we? Which
yeah,
kind of understandable the way we've been playing. It's been quite high intensity and taking the game to them, and I think we're going to have a few moments where it's not quite so straightforward. But the more we can realise that this happens, this is all part of football. It's great. There's a few people saying hi tonight. Amanda, Mark says hello, Eve, Chapo, and Adam. So it's great to see you on here, Eve. Absolutely brilliant. Of course, it's great to have you on, and you're always welcome. So who's your favourite player right now? Who is it that you look forward to seeing most of the time?
I really enjoy seeing Ryan Yates. He's one of my favourite players. He's one of my favourite players at the moment, and another one of my favourite players is Brennan Johnson as well. And I'm so happy that he got the 2 goals against Leicester, and I think he's getting better again as well. So
he is, isn't he? He's having a massive impact on games. He's not just scoring; he's starting to assist as well. Slip of the tongue for me. I mistakenly asked Dore who'd set up the goal on Saturday, and he told me it was Nico Williams, but it was actually Brennan Johnson. So I don't take advice from him anymore. But no, it's good to see him. It's good to see him sort of creating those opportunities and showing us what he did in the Championship, because we all know if Brennan's scoring and creating goals and playing well with Morgan Gibbs-White, Forest are an exciting prospect, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
It's been great to have you on, Eve. Really, really appreciate it, and you're always welcome. Don't forget that you can always sign in at any point, and we look forward to seeing you. And don't stop drawing those pictures. Just let people know what you do.
Yeah, so I draw a lot of Nottingham Forest related pictures, and I drew a couple recently. I drew one of the players from the under 18s team who played in the FA Cup Youth final last year. it was my friend Becky's son, and she sent me a picture of him. So I recently drew that picture of him, and yes, I just do a lot of drawing, Forest-related drawings.
And they're always on Twitter, aren't they? And you've got a calendar. So if anybody wants the calendar, I'm sure Dore will put some information in the comments as well. There's more comments coming in for you, Eve. Amanda said they thought you would have learned that a while ago. Of course I knew. I was giving Eve the opportunity to tell us what she did, because it is absolutely amazing, like Mark says, and Adam. So thanks for coming on, Eve. Really appreciate your input as ever. It's great to everyone, and we're really looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks against Manchester City.
Yeah.
Take away all them nice comments from the people looking in, won't you?
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you soon, Eve. Take care. That was Eve, a regular at the City Ground. She can't get every week, but she gets as much as she can throughout the season. And of course, she's trying to use art as a little bit of therapy. There is a calendar that you can purchase. It's cheap, £6 or £7. Don't quote me on that. I probably should have done my own work. But get in touch with Dore, and I'm sure we'll point you in the right direction if you want one of those. Again, the money raised from that calendar goes towards Amanda's defibrillator campaign. So everybody's working together to get absolutely most out of being part of this Forest network that we like to be part of. Again, still people coming in, really good. There's a comment here from Chris, great job. Again, Eve, come on, good job, Do Daily. Again, a guy from the US, the contingent over there is always growing. Probably a good time for them to watch at this time, sort of early evening, but we really appreciate them whatever time the content gets put out. Of course, Dore will be doing that a lot more ahead of the game this week. There'll be a preview. I'm sure there'll be a preview of a Man United fan. He'll be out doing his vlog, and he'll be asking me and some of the other guys to do a bit of a post-match reaction, a minute or so on how the game's gone. Not always easy, and especially when you miss 20 minutes at Bournemouth. But I'll try and do my best. So do check those out. It's just whatever's on our mind when we start, and it's just little bite-sized content on a match day for those that can't get. It's great content to tune into. I mentioned we've got Mark waiting in the wings. He's been waiting patiently in and out. Good evening, Mark. Are you all right?
Yeah, good evening, Des. How are you doing, mate?
I'm good, thank you. Your Wi-Fi keeps playing up a little bit, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah. It doesn't normally do that, but it's for some reason it's playing up tonight. But anyway, I've moved around and I'm all right now, I hope.
So we're all right talking to the people from US, but where are you talking from?
Well, I live in Hemel Hempstead, Junction 8 on the M1, but originally from North London. But I've been a Forest fan since '79. And you know why that was.
We all know. Just a quick comment there. Fernando says Palmeiras fan on area. Great to have you on board as well. I'm sure they'll take an interest in what's happening at the club now. We seem to be signing all their best players. It's an exciting time, isn't it? This January window, Mark. The upturn in results and the players we're getting and we're linked with. It's like we're moving forward.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. I mean, I was going to have a question for you actually, and it was going to be: do you see if we were at full strength any weaknesses in this team? Do you see any weaknesses? I think I know your answer, but I mean, if we was at full strength,
you've lined me up there, haven't you, Mark? You've lined me up.
Yeah. Could you see anywhere where you think we need to strengthen if we was at full strength?
So, again, without sort of going over the top on Danilo, and I'm really not, and I'm not doing it to prove a point, because I've had a little bit in recent a problem with Mangala and Foyer. Not a problem. I've not got an agenda against these guys. I want them to be the best players Forest have got, if they've got it within their capabilities. But I've got a bit of an issue with how quickly they move the ball about, and how frustrating they can be. There's not much tracking back from Mangala. I kind of really got it on me with Foyer a little bit. Not purposely, but he was playing in that number 6 role. Everybody's telling us he's a more attacking-minded player, and I sort of gave into that. I'm happy to see him have a go further forward. But again, there were one or two frustrations on Saturday. I turned around to Dore. There was an opportunity where the ball came across the box, and he completely earshot and that happens. Don't get me wrong. People miss the kick and it happens. But it seems to be, I just said to Dore and Dave and Malcolm, I just said, if he sweeps that in, he shuts people like me up. And I just feel like some people were talking about Scarpa and how well he played in that midfield role. He didn't play quite as far forward as he has done recently. And I think that just highlights some of the issues I'm talking about with Mangala and Foyer. Not getting that ball quick enough. Because for me, Danilo just completely bypassed the others. And it was Danilo, Morgan Gibbs-White, Danilo, Scarpa, and they were making things happen as that game went on. So I don't think, to add perspective and balance, and try and sort of be realistic about it, Foy's probably a fantastic player, absolutely brilliant in what he does. But in this team, I feel that it doesn't quite work with all that pace up front and with the ability and the skill set of Gibbs-White, Johnson, Scarpa. We need to get the ball to them as quickly as possible. And for me,
I agree.
It gives it away a little bit too much. Again, with confidence, I'm hoping he goes and plays in a role further forward, because everyone's telling me for Switzerland is amazing. I'm hoping he plays in a role further forward and his confidence grows. He starts zipping passes around, drops one in the top corner from 30 yards, and he becomes this player we've all been talking about. It's just about the impact on the game. And when you look at Forest, I know I'm going on a bit now, I'm on my soapbox. When you look at Forest season, we weren't in the relegation zone until Crystal Palace, because we had 11 fantastic players. Yes, they're fantastic in their own right. They're probably better than players that weren't in the team. The Blackpool game showed us that, didn't it? One lesson I learned from Blackpool was, whilst I was almost questioning Foyer, especially, and perhaps Mangala in midfield, I've mentioned it already. I predict this team every week for pitch football. And I've still been putting Foyer and Mangala in because they are the best option we've got. What I think people need to understand is, if Forest are going out and signing people like Danilo, obviously Steve Cooper's identifying an issue. It's not my personal agenda against this guy. He's identifying an issue with Foyer. He's not going to come out and say he's rubbish, and he probably doesn't even think he's rubbish. What he's doing is trying to improve the team the best he sees fit. And I think that's my issue there. I think sometimes, and I made this point in a comment on the show last night, that we still have a few passengers. There's still players who are pulling us through. Gibbs-White and Johnson are really carrying us through games at times. The defence still looks shaky. At times I've changed my opinion on Willy Bolly. I've changed my opinion on Loddy. I thought Loddy was absolutely awful. But again, with what's happening, with the development of the team and better players around him, he's become a real asset to what we've got, especially going forward. So I think what we have to do with these players, Mark, is not write them off. And I'm not trying to write anybody off. Because I do something like this, I'm quite out there with my opinion. Otherwise, there'd be no point me doing it. But for me, those two players, even Taiwo, for all the improvement we've seen, I still think we need a better player than Taiwo or Chris Wood. But time will tell. Chris Wood might score 8 goals and he might get a hat-trick and he might win us a game again when we're backs to the wall like Bournemouth. And then I'll be sort of have it run back down my throat, and I'll be happy to have that. And I think that's the important thing, isn't it? There's no agendas, but when you look at strengthening the team now, we've got to get better players than what was there when we were struggling in the relegation zone. And somebody on the pitch has got to be improved upon, because otherwise we stay in the bottom 3 all season. It happened with Cook and McKenna, didn't it? We all love McKenna, but he's found himself out of the team, and when he's come back in, he's found himself back out again because Bolly's performing, and that's a healthy position to be in, if anything. That's not me having to go at Foyer and Mangala. Yes, I feel at times there could be different things added to their game, but it's healthy, isn't it, that you've got all these good players. And if Foyer then comes on, I think somebody made the comment last night on Dore's review show about Foyer's not quite looked the same since that Brentford game where he gave that ball away, and he has. Again, my personal opinion, I'm judging it on what I see. and I'm prepared to put myself on the line. But what I see is he's cut a frustrated figure. Do you know, in the Southampton game, I know it was probably not what it appeared to be when he threw his arm at Cooper. That was going around social media. It was probably just someone else had upset him. But in that game, he looked a frustrated figure as well. And it was probably because of that. He got a booking quite early, a rash tackle, and he had to sort of tiptoe in the second half. So I think there's more to come from him, and I really want to see it. I've spoke a lot now, so I'm going to let you have some say on it. What are your thoughts on positions we could possibly improve upon?
I've touched a nerve there, didn't I?
You did. You set me going, didn't you? It's not about being poorly for a minute.
Yeah. No, I think we're punching. I think we're punching above. We're punching above, really. I think everything you said there is dead right. I think, John. The thing is, I spoke to you a couple of weeks ago, and I was going on a lot about Brennan Johnson, and the irony of that was at that time he was getting a lot of stick, but look at what he's done after that. I mean, he's contributed to everything we've done. Everything that's been positive, he's contributed to everything, and it just, fair play to him. He's shoved it down. He doesn't. I don't think he reacts to the. It can't be nice if you're hearing all this stuff from this outside noise and that. But he's just proved. He just proves everyone wrong, which is what you love to see. I mean, to be fair to all our players that have come through the academy, Worrell, Yates, and Brennan, they've all had stick this season, and they're all coming through, which is brilliant. They've all come through, and it's great to see because it shows the strength in character they've got, at such a young age.
I think Brennan is the one we all wanted to see as well, isn't it? For as much as I've perhaps questioned one or two, I've stuck by Brennan, stuck by Yates, because I think Yates is different class in the Premier League.
He's our best midfielder. He's our best midfielder. He's been our best midfielder for weeks.
Absolutely, and I felt one thing I really felt, and again, I'm asked to give my opinion for certain things. That's why I put it out there. But I felt on Saturday that if Danilo had Yates in front of him, buzzing around, doing some of the dirty work, not necessarily change of formation, but just getting about the people in front of him, giving him that extra few seconds of still. Perhaps rolling people off the ball himself and getting in the way like he does, winning free kicks. And with Scarpa playing well in that position, because it does appear on the face of it that the Scarpa sub changed the game. But like I said, I think it was more Danilo. I'd have loved to see in a game like that where I thought Bournemouth, don't get me wrong, I don't think they're shocking. Every game in the Premier League's hard. But I thought Bournemouth were there for the taking as well. And I thought if we had Danilo, Yates and Scarpa, I'm not saying Scarpa's the long-term answer in midfield, as he seemed to play on Saturday. But in a game like Bournemouth, where you want to be on the front foot, if there's any games you're going to be on the front foot, it's the likes of Bournemouth, isn't it, and Everton. So in those kind of games, you want to be on the front foot. Perhaps sacrifice one of these. I don't even know how to describe Mangala for you, but perhaps sacrifice one of these and play someone like Scarpa. Again, we've got to be in the right place as a team. We've got to be confident. We've got to be on the front foot. But I think that could be a useful option, especially when we're chasing a game. Because Morgan Gibbs-White's always going to play. So it's going to make things difficult for Scarpa if we just insist on playing him in the number 10 role. Because I think if he plays anywhere else, he might just fizzle out. And I think it was interesting on Saturday that he came on and he did what he did against Southampton almost. It's almost like at the moment, we've seen Cooper work with players before, whether it's Lewis Grabban or Keenan Davis. He builds them up to a fitness level.
Yeah.
I think we've got to...
They've been thrown in too early. But we've got no choice.
Yeah, and that's the case. But what we're seeing is exciting, and the fitter he gets, and the more he starts linking up with the likes of Gibbs-White, and he's playing those balls through, and Johnson knows where to run, and Wood knows where to run, it's only going to bode well, isn't it, in these tightish games like we saw on Saturday?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I think in midfield, look, at the end of the day, them players that you just quoted, like Mangala and Freuler, we haven't got the right combination, and that's obvious. But, hopefully bringing in competition in that area, hopefully, and getting the right blend, hopefully at some point. I mean, we're halfway through the season now, and we still haven't found, all right, we've had some injuries, but we still haven't found the right combination in midfield. You know, we brought another new player in now. He's got to get used to them. So, you know, let's face it, at the end of the day, I've said it all season, and we all know this. Cooper is just, you know, how he gets these lads, how he gets the results with the situation that he's got in front of him, which has been there from the start of the season and still hasn't gone away. Exactly what we're just talking about. We still haven't got the right combinations. You know, we seem to have the defence sorted now. Attacking wise, we seem to be all right there, although we lost. I mean, if Taywood's still been playing, it'd have been interesting to see how he'd be getting on with them too. Obviously, he's got injured. Now we've had to change that and bring someone else in. So all the time it's chopping and changing, and you know, it just
proves, doesn't it, Mark, that it's still improving, and that really excites me. So the times that it appears that I'm criticising Foyer or Mangala, it actually really excites me that these players might be squad players because we're looking at one or two others. What would be the point in signing players in January if you're not going to look to improve your team?
Yeah.
You know, there'd be absolutely no point. Remember, and you said there, I think Forest have almost nailed goalkeeper sorted, fullback sorted.
Yeah.
I think there still might be one or two questions in the middle of the defence. You know, they're playing better. They're playing well together. I've really,
all right,
I've really been a fan of Bolly's performances recently. The Wolves game and the Leicester game before he went off. And then you look, Gibbs White, Johnson are first names on the team sheet, but it doesn't necessarily pick itself, like you say, and that can only put us in a good position, can't it? As the season really settles down, after the 31st of January, we've got a squad, you know, and I think we've all heard about transfer panels and people have got the sack and people have moved on. You know, I think after the 31st, we see the best 11.
Yeah.
Because there should be no real influence from what from outside or who might be coming in. Of course, we're carrying injuries as well, and we're finding a way to get through it. I think this Man U game's massive in terms of helping us, like it did in the FA Cup last year. I remember one game McKenna was injured. I think it was the Liverpool game. It just gave him that time to come back, didn't it, when he was playing well. I think Figueiredo stepped in next one up. And I think we might see one of that. We might see the likes of Lingard perhaps get back in this week. And again, that's exciting to see, isn't it? Because what was happening with him, you know, where do we fit him in with Scarpa and Danilo and Foyer and Mangala? And somebody's got to miss out somewhere. And my personal opinion is, you asked me the question, I'm glad you did. You know, it's that one where I think we could be a little bit more balanced in the midfield and play off the front foot. And if we do, I think Cooper almost alluded it to himself. What a team, like what a player, Danilo. I was thinking, what a team this could be. You know, going to some big games and really, really upsetting them. If we click at Old Trafford, I know Danilo might not play or wherever we play teams in the future. If we click against some of these big teams, we could take them to the cleaners now. You know, not just fight. Don't get me wrong. I love fighting and scrapping for every point. It almost gives us a bit of identity this year. Doesn't it? You know, it's probably the most pleasing aspect of it all. So as much as I think we're struggling, this is happening. I think it's fantastic that we can just keep fighting, battling away through. And then when you've been under the cosh and you score a second goal against Leicester, you know, it feels amazing, doesn't it?
Well, we seem to have been getting a tiny bit of credit on Match of the Day now. They seem to be recognising us on Match of the Day. We're getting a little bit of credit, you know. I think they're gagging to say something negative about us, but they can't say anything, and they're having to say something positive. That's what it seems like to me. But you know, long may that continue. And there's no reason why it shouldn't be like that. And obviously, you know, these two games that we got coming up. I'm going on Wednesday night, and I can't go to the game the following week, the week after, but. It's brilliant, and it is a free hit, and we're not expected. You know, I don't expect us to come out the other side next week and be in the final. I mean, which is great, which is a great situation to be, because if we do, that would be amazing. But I'm looking at the Leeds game, because if we pick up 3 points in that Leeds game, 24 points, and you know we've got so many games left, we're in such a strong position because we have to stay in this league, don't we? You know, the cup is brilliant, but we have to stay in this league.
Absolutely, and I think Mark's made a perfect comment there. Look, believe, sisters and brothers, that we've waited 2 decades for this. I've been banging that drum all season. You know, let's remember how far we've come. You know, we're going to talk about his performance and is he good enough? You know, that's football, isn't it? That's why I do these things. You know, if I wasn't going to say anything, there'd be no point me doing it. And I think it's great on a Monday night, especially, to have this balance of opinion, give people a platform to get what's off their chest. So just before you go, mate, we got stuck into one or two things there, or one or two players. What are you hoping for this week? What's a good result Wednesday, and how do you see the semi-final panning out?
Look, I think if it just any sort of win on Wednesday night, whatever that, just even by one goal, so we've got something to take to Old Trafford, and then we'll have to see how we are then. But I think, you know, like always, the ground will be packed. I think the fans will be up for it. We're up for it most of the time. We have to keep singing. We have to just keep on and on and on. Just so much noise that the Man United players have got a headache. Even if it ain't going so great, you know, like we did against Sheffield United, just keep singing, just keep getting behind the lads, because we do carry them, and we have carried them at home. Our home form has been immense, and you know, as fans, we've got a lot. No wonder he keeps backing us all the time, Cooper, and talking about us, because we are having such an effect. I mean, I was watching the Jesse Lingard documentary, the Diary of a CEO. I was watching that, and he's talking about how when he walks out into that pitch, he said, and he's talking to a Man United supporter, and he said when he walks onto that pitch and he gets Mulligan Tighe starts going, he's got his hair standing on the back of his neck, and he said, you can imagine what that must feel. I mean, that just tells you everything about the noise and the atmosphere in that ground, and we have to. That's the big advantage we've got this season, and we had to have good home form, whether it be a cup game, a semi-final, or our league form, and luckily, gladly, it's turned out that way. So long may it continue, and hopefully we've got another positive result. There is a massive, you know, you see all the players at training, or they seem to be, even the lads that are not there. I mean, Cooper's a master at trying to make everyone included, isn't he? You know, even the guys that are not getting a game, they all seem to be happy, and they seem to be enjoying their time. I mean, Lingard's gone through some tough times, and he loves it at Forest, and he's been at the biggest club in the world.
Exactly. That just says a lot about where we are, and that we should enjoy it. And nobody will get greater pleasure if Forest sticks one in the top corner on Wednesday than me. Believe me.
Yeah.
But no, I'm looking forward to the game, mate. I appreciate you coming on. Always great to chat to you. Always great opinion on Forest, and hopefully we'll catch up soon. I'm sure I'll catch you around that corner near the club shop.
Yeah, hopefully I'll pop round and say hello to you, mate.
Good stuff. Pleasure to talk to you, mate.
Yeah, nice to speak to you, mate.
Thank you. Bye. That was Mark. He's been on before. Always great chat with him. Always fair and balanced, and sort of understanding and different people's opinions. Just a couple of comments. We've got one more guest we're going to get in. He's been waiting patiently. He is a friend of the show, so he can wait a bit longer. Preston, Mark says goals. That probably comes after this one. Woods is a great option if we need goals. Personally, I think he will score goals. Again, hopefully he does. Comment here about Tyro. Tyro was just starting to understand what Cooper wanted from him and the team, and he got injured. Absolutely. But I'm sure we've still seen enough to realise that one or two, it's taken a long time for him to get there. But again, it would, if he was fit and well right now, I'd have him in the first team and causing a bit of trouble up top. Missed that one, Mark. Do you believe as some team is going to get a thumping from Forest before the end of the season? I'm glad you made that point. I didn't see it whilst we were talking to Mark. He didn't have a chance to comment, but I do. I can see it coming. You know, I can see it coming over the next couple of weeks. You know, teams, especially when the season starts getting a bit nearer to the end, and Forest have got plenty to fight for, and other teams. I'm not saying they'll give up, but you know what it's like end of season. And when we click, you know, we're gonna hit somebody hard, and I think that's going to be when all the media and everyone forgets about this 22 signing rubbish and really gets behind what we're doing. Paul says, I think Steve Cooper has asked Foyer to play out position to help the team out, because until Danilo signed, we had no one else to play there. Perhaps we should judge him from now on in. Absolutely. It's a point I've been making for weeks. I just made a point on where we were playing in the team. You know, I totally agree with that, Paul. Again, always good opinion from him. Don't forget to like this episode. Keep smashing that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're brand new. Door's trying to get to 11k. If you'd be kind enough to support my channel, a very, very small in comparison channel called Do Daily, all one word, I'd really, really appreciate that. I'm just trying to support what Door's doing here, offer a bit of a difference of opinion, so it's not the same old ugly mug every week. You get sick of him seeing him 8-9 times a week, so you get me instead, the better looking one. He's looking in the background now, a bit confused and dazed. But I know Kieran.
I'm very good. How are you, Des?
I'm good, thank you. You've waited patiently there, Kieran.
As always.
Thanks for joining in tonight. What's on your mind about Forest?
Well, just like what I've just been listening to you, just talking about Freud. I think you're absolutely spot on. We've not really seen the best out of him yet, but I think with Switzerland, they know how to get the best out of him. So it's going to be interesting to see now Danilo's coming. Are we going to see Freud going forward? Or are we going to see Freud playing the same position? It's interesting because I thought Danilo offered something a lot different in that Bournemouth game. Like you said, he was linking up with Gibbs White, Johnson. Like he was carrying the ball with speed, and that's what we were missing for ages. So it was nice to see.
Absolutely, and that was exciting. We've all probably now done our research into this Brazilian guy. I didn't know a great deal about him. I'd heard his name mentioned in the past, and we all get a bit excited when we see a Brazilian name on the transfer list. Somebody we're looking to sign, but it's great. I say it all the time in these windows. I hate the transfer rumours, Kieran. I absolutely hate it because I just want to see players play football and make an opinion. Seems to offend some people, but that's the way life is. And that's what being a football fan's all about, isn't it? We don't have to have agendas against anybody. And I really, really want to see Foya with this player. People keep telling me he runs 12, 13 miles a game or whatever, K, probably more to the point, not miles. But again, you're still going to have something. Mo Farah probably runs at Soccer Aid all day. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah.
It doesn't mean he's necessarily doing what he needs to do. And it sounds like I've got to be in my bonnet with him, but I really haven't. This guy come with a great pedigree, great reputation. And if he's the link next to Danilo on that right-hand side, and he gets in the box and he sticks one away, and that was my frustration the other day. I said it. If he'd just swept one in, then I can't say nothing, can I? I'd have Door turning around to me going, like, do you know what I mean? What's your thoughts on Foya now? And that's fair enough because that's what we're looking to see. I just want to see the team grow, and it is, isn't it? It's so much nicer to watch a team develop, and I think that's key. I've mentioned the fight, the way we have to work hard in games, but we're also watching a team again, like last season's, develop into a good football side. So at the end of the day, as fans, we'll take a win any which way. It's just in the background, I've had Fulham, Tottenham on, and Tottenham have been absolutely battered for 90 minutes. And they've won.
I don't know how they've won. It's incredible.
Exactly. And you take that as a football fan. You don't care how you get the points on the board. But when you're invested in a programme, invested in a team, like we have been, and invested in Cooper, he's invested in us, the things myself and Dor and you and the amount we talk about Forest, it's great to feel like you're part of a project. And Cooper's done that, Cooper's made us feel like that, even if we're not really, because we're only giving our opinion. I mentioned all the way throughout, there's lots of people across different channels giving their opinion. That's absolutely fine, but just try and be realistic and balanced and offer some perspective. And then when someone like Foya, because I've got it with Loddy, becomes good, you're like, yes, you know what I mean? That's made me happy, and that's all I want to see from him. But enough about him. Man U game this week. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think we're going to win. I'm putting it out there. I think we're going to win. I think we're going to surprise United. There's a lot of people down us saying, "Oh, Man U are going to batter us." Like we've not lost at home since September against Fulham. That's how far we've come at home, and that's what has got us the more points this season. We've won more games at home, but this is a kind of a free hit. Cooper's not taking it as a free hit because his mentality. That's what I like, and I think going into the Man United game, I think we might have learned a lot from Old Trafford, and going in at home, I think will surprise him. They might lose, you never know. I do expect United to win, but I can still see us pulling a shock off.
But I think a lot of it in the first game will boil down to their application as well, won't it? If Man U come and take the game to Forest, it's going to be really, really hard. But if Forest get about them, United miss 1 or 2 chances. They see it as a free hit in the first leg. Again, I think we'll surprise them. We'll sort of fight hard and we'll dig out a result, and then all of a sudden they've got to play well in the second leg. So I think if they don't apply themselves properly in that game, we're going to win it, because that's the fine line, isn't it? We've seen in the Leicester game, if Leicester had put the chances away, we saw it earlier in the season with West Ham and Everton, they put the chances away, we're out of the game. But you can only play against what's in front of you and the situation. And the more and more Forest do that, and the more and more these players come in the team, I think the more and more it's starting to click. And I think next season, I think we're going to have one hell of a team, because I don't think the owners want to rest.
You think we'll stay up then?
I think we'll stay up. I think we'll stay up easily. I think we'll get the points before people even imagine it. I think we'll get 35 points. I think we'll stop up quite comfortably, because there's games that are winnable, and it'll boil down to home form. There'll be a sticky spell. I don't think we're going to absolutely cruise it and not have a couple more stuff-ins and a loss at home here and a big loss away. But I think we'll stop up comfortably. And Marinakis is not the type of guy to rest on, we've got Danilo now. He's the answer to all our prayers. That's not going to be the end of it, is it? Because when we get to the next transfer window, he's probably going to want to spend another 100 million. And it's just about each time, and I've said this right from the Chris Hughton days, right before that, all the way back for all the managers we had under Fawaz, getting players in the team that make the team better. How many Ariatas can we talk about? I'm not having a pop at Ariata, but how many of those have we wasted money on? So if we're signing players that unfortunately push people out a little bit, because that's what happens in football. It's a brutal world. I've seen players I love get pushed out, and it's good as a fan. You're gutted, but it's the way to take your team forward and progress, isn't it? I think next season, if we're signing Danilo at this point, I think we're going to be signing some real good players.
Well, signing someone like Danilo, who's showing massive ambition by Forest, and I think some of the players in the starting 11 at the moment, I don't think they're going to be starters next season if we stay up. Players like Mangala and Freud, I don't think they're going to be starters next year. I can just see us probably getting another midfielder in, or possibly moving a few on. Maybe O'Brien. I think he could struggle to get into the team at the moment, by the looks of it.
Well, it's easy, isn't it? And what football fans tend to do, Kieran, I'll just make this point quickly before we sign out. I'm losing my voice now. What football fans tend to do is make the mind up about signing when they see his name, and then they either think they're good or bad. All this around Scarpa, a couple of weeks ago, everyone's saying he's got to play, he's going to change the world. Let's give the guy a chance. And it was the same with Lewis O'Brien and Niakate. God, how much smoke have they blown up his backside? If that guy don't come back and hit the ground running, it's going to be a massive disappointment, because people have got a bit too carried away. And I think we have to realise this. But if he does come back and he's better than the options we got in the first team, what a result. And there's also the guy at left back. I'm not sure those guys, will ever play for Forest, it seems, at this rate. But if they do come, they're like new signings that are already there, and they could make the team better.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see what Niakate will. Well, is he going to be injured again, or is he going to have a setback? I'd like to see him back. Get a sub appearance at one time for March, I guess. But we'll have to see what happens. Hopefully, he's not going to be injured again, or he is going to be a disappointment. I totally agree with that.
Absolutely, mate. I appreciate you coming on. I am actually really losing my voice. I can't believe I've got through the last 85 minutes of this. I was struggling so much, but I appreciate everybody who's come on. Thanks, Kieran. Your input's always welcome. Keep up the good work. Keep supporting us wherever you can.
No worries, Des. Nice to see you again. Take care.
Cheers, mate. So that was Kieran, the last guest tonight. Some great guests on, 1 or 2 new faces, 1 or 2 regulars. Absolutely love that. You know, I really wasn't feeling it. I really, really do feel a bit sort of down on myself because I feel rubbish. But again, talking about Forest, being positive about the situations we find ourselves in, looking forward to the future. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Getting on the front foot with it all, being excited, looking forward to big League Cup semi-finals, and then, of course, the big games that are coming up in the Premier League. Hopefully, I'll be back next week. I'll be fighting fit, back on Monday night. Free weekend in terms of the match, so Dore will get a bit of time off, I think. But the Man U game, there'll be a preview show, there'll be a review, and of course, we'll have those post-match reactions. Do hit the like button on those, help us build the channel, you know, help Dore get into 11K. As I've mentioned already, if you could support my channel, Do Daily, that'd be absolutely amazing. Lots of fantastic support from DoreOnTour, and whilst I'm not always feeling fantastic or positive about certain things, I just try and be honest and realistic about the way things are going. Really, really appreciate everyone tuning in. I know there's lots going off these days about Forest and on the TV, so it's amazing to have so many people on. Don't forget, before you sign out, smash that like button and bring on United. That's going to...